name is Tamara, and this is episode 24 of the Caffeinated Craft Mamas podcast. My podcast all about my knitting, crocheting, quilting, and bookish life in Southwest Missouri, where I live with my partner Richard, our 3 kids, and our dog. It has been almost 2 months since I've talked to you guys. It has been a long 2 months. I told you guys we probably wouldn't have an episode in December. Life just gets crazy. On top of all the family obligations that we had, we also ended up with a bout of the flu. So now we've had the fever flu and we've had the stomach flu, so we should be good for the year, right? No more illness. Fingers crossed. Because a nonverbal 4-year-old who has the stomach flu is not a fun thing to experience. We also had Christmas. We had Christmas break. And a lot of other things. So we are finally kind of back into the swing of things over here. And so we are going to record a podcast today. Bear with me. I'm tired and we'll see how this goes. I know I say that every episode, but we really will. We do have a ton to talk about. We are going to do a what am I wearing? We're going to talk about all the finished objects that I have done, what I brought into 2023 with me, and what I plan to do with those things. We are also going to talk about the whips that I have started this year. We're going to talk about my entire stash. I went through everything. Then we are going to talk about upcoming whips, quilting, a giveaway that I have, and life and junk. And I have to get Bub off the bus in an hour, so we're gonna hurry. First of all, if you'd like to follow me on social media, please feel free to do so. I'm really only active over on Instagram. I'm over there as the caffeinated_craft_mama. In December, I posted maybe once a week. Honestly, probably not even that much. And I've posted maybe once or twice in the new year. I am going to try to up my Instagram game a little bit more. I mostly have just been struggling. I know all of us struggled in 2022, and I was one of those, but I am making a bigger effort to show my life as it is and not have that Instagram stigma of, oh, my living room is a mess right now, so I can't record a podcast. Quite honestly, there's a pile of Legos sitting 5 feet from me that y'all can't see. I'll take a picture of it and pop it in here so you can. Because I feel like if more of us show our house is kind of a mess, or show projects that we're frogging before we do or anything like that, that feeling of my stuff's not good enough to put on Instagram or my stuff's not good enough to put on YouTube is going to be lifted off of everybody. So anyway, that's a soapbox I could go way up on. We don't have time for that. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. I am drinking a Yorkshire tea biscuit brew tea this morning. I've already had my coffee. My mom bought me a sample packet of Bones Coffee Company. If you've never heard of them, you should look them up. I'll pop their Instagram right here. And they're flavored coffees. So I had some of that this morning and I finished it, and now I'm drinking a Yorkshire tea biscuit brew. I learned about this from Hannah at the Corner of Craft. I do order this tea from England. I do need to order more because this is my last box. 3 boxes last me about a year because I ration it out, but it's one of my favorites. You need just a touch of sugar and just a little bit of milk, oat milk, whatever, to give it that kind of more cookie flavor, but it's really good. I like it. I've also got water because we're going to be doing a lot of talking and a lot of fast talking, so hopefully we can get through this without me getting choked up or coughing. Okay, first off, what am I wearing? I knit this last year. This is the Wishbones sweater by Caitlyn of Wanderlust Knitter. This was a test knit that I did for her. I used Hobby Lobby's new hand-dyed yarn that they have. I don't know what the name of it is. I'll have to look it up. Oh, and I caught my sweater. Darn it, I'll have to fix that. But I really do enjoy this sweater. It was originally written to be a short-sleeved pattern, but I don't really wear short-sleeve sweaters here. In Missouri, it gets too hot. And when it's warm enough for short sleeves, it's warm enough to be in like t-shirts. So I added the long sleeves myself, and I just did it. If you have any questions about how I did it, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram and I'd be happy to tell you. So yeah, I really enjoyed this pattern. It was a lot of fun to knit, and I enjoy the sweater. I wear it a lot. So, all right. Sorry, my notes are a mess. I lost my podcasting notebook, guys. So I had to get a new one. And this one is probably not going to last very long because it was just one I had in the cabinet. I'm one of those people that likes to have like special notebooks for certain things. And I'm really, really upset that I lost my podcasting notebook. I cannot find it anywhere. I'm worried it got thrown away when my mom and I cleaned out my house over Christmas break. I don't know why it would have gotten thrown away, but I'm starting to get concerned that that's what happened to it. Okay, so when we talked last, which was about 60 days ago, I was working on Christmas projects, and that's pretty much all I worked on. I showed you guys those corner-to-corner washcloths that I was doing. I ended up making 38 of those total and gifting them to several people. I try to gift them 2 at a time just because they're fun. And they went over really well. Everyone seemed to really enjoy them. For all of the teachers, I got a bottle of hand soap, 2 of the washcloths, and then my mom and I do a deal where we take a strip of fabric and we put Wonder Under on it, and then we adhere it to a towel, like a kitchen towel, and go around the strip of fabric. So it's something they can hang like on their stove or somewhere where it's a little decorative, and it's really pretty, but it's still something that's functional. So I made one of those for each of William's and Jade's teachers. And I actually was also able to gift one to the speech pathologist at his school. So that was really exciting for me because I know those specialty teachers don't always get remembered, and I wanted to make sure that they got remembered this time. So I made those. I ended up only making 3 of the handy knit cloth pattern. I ended up making 2 for my Nana, and I'll pop a picture in here that she sent me, and I ended up making 1 for my grandma. Quite honestly, when that stomach flu hit us, we were all just so sick that we weren't able to do anything. I just got a text, so I'm gonna make sure it didn't stop the recording. Okay, we're good. I've had that happen before where I was recording a podcast and then I realized it had stopped recording, but I didn't know until the very end of the podcast because I just use my phone, so it's facing backwards. Okay, I did finish my Thanksgiving socks. We'll pop a picture up here. I did not end up doing the 5K. It ended up being cold and rainy that morning, so we ended up staying home. The money still went to a good cause. We still got the t-shirts. We walked 3 miles later. It was fine. I ended up doing that hat that we talked about, the Hedda hat that I was test knitting. I ended up making 3 of those. I'll pop a photo in of the one that I made for Jade, and I also made one in a maroon color and a cream color, and I don't think I got pictures of those because I was literally knitting the maroon hat until 2 minutes before we had to go where we were going. I literally wove in the ends, threw it in the bag, and gave it to the person it went to. But hey, I finished it, the ends were woven in, and I didn't gift it to them still on the needles because I have done that before. So I call it a win. And I also finished my mom's Christmas socks and her muscle burrow hat, and she loved both of them. So I was really glad that I was able to do that for my mom. So that was pretty much everything that I worked on in December. If I don't have pictures of things, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure everything that I promised that I had pictures of, I do have, but I will just have to look and see because all that stuff has been gifted. Okay. Now we're going to talk about projects I brought into 2023 with me and what I'm going to do with them. I knew I was going to bring at least 2 projects into 2023, and I ended up bringing 3. So we'll go ahead and talk about them. The first one is my original Cozy Memories blanket. Let me pull it over here. This has been a project that I've had going for at least 2 years, and something dawned on me a little while ago. So I think I've talked about this before, but we'll talk about it one more time. I have got squares in here that are not super wash wool. I did not know that when I started this blanket. And so I've got it, this square is not super wash, This square is not superwash, and I believe this square is not superwash. So it dawned on me one day when I was thinking about this, I'm not going to want to hand wash a giant blanket. You know, like I'm just not going to want to do that. That just does not sound like a fun thing to do with my day. So I am going to finish this as a probably 9 squares by 10 squares. So it'll be 90 squares total project. It'll be just big enough for me to sit on the couch, maybe cuddled up with Richard. It's wide enough to cover the both of us and go down to our feet. We're short, so that works out well for us. I'm not having to make like a 6-foot long blanket. Yay for short people. So I am determined to have this done by the end of the year. Oh, that's the school calling. I'm gonna pause this. Okay, we're all good. It was just an update about weather. We'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, back to what I was saying. So I figured out how many squares I need to put on this blanket to have it done by the end of the year, because I refuse to take it with me into 2024. So I don't remember all the names of these blocks, so just bear with me. But everything that has a stitch marker on it is one that I have finished since we talked last. So a lot of these are leftovers from Advents, or like this is a project, I knit a top out of this. I knit socks for a friend out of this. Just things like that. So here's a couple more. If I do 2 or 3 a week, I will have this finished by the end of the year. I'm debating on whether I'm gonna do an I-cord bind off all the way around the outside. Part of me thinks yes, part of me thinks no. This is most likely just going to sit on my rocking chair or sit here on the couch. Probably not until my kids are a little older, to be honest. I don't want to have to wash this thing once a week, and right now that's about the spill rate we have going on in this house. So I will probably just keep it upstairs with me for a while and then move it to the couch as they get a little older. So yeah, I've gotten a lot done, and I am determined to get this finished. So I'm gonna fold that up, toss it back in the bag. I have enough leftovers of the advent calendars that I knit to be able to go ahead and put this, like to finish this. And then my plan is you all know, well, you may know, I have been doing small granny squares out of 5 grams, and then I'm gonna make a smaller Cozy Memories blanket, and I'm going to be really diligent to make sure that I'm not putting anything into it that's not superwash wool. I started this blanket, like I said, like maybe 2.5 years ago, because I started it in the apartment we lived in before we moved to our townhome. So that was just inexperience on my part, because I was just starting to get into the world of sock yarn and wool. I had been just an acrylic person, really only worsted weight acrylic prior to discovering that I like to knit socks. So that was just a learning curve, and it will give me a cute little throw to keep on my couch. And I have a lot of leftovers from these squares, so I'll be able to put those in my new Cozy Memories blanket as well. I am planning on making the squares smaller so they use less yarn. Those squares take about 10 grams, which is a bummer, because sometimes I only have 5 grams left, or I have 10 grams, but it would be nice to be able to switch them between the two. So, sorry, one of my neighbors is outside doing something weird. So yeah, that's my Cozy Memories blanket and the plan for it. Up next, I have my field day cardigan. We haven't talked about this in a while because it's a cardigan that I'm knitting with my mom. So, I'll pop a photo in here of what it's going to look like, and it's black yarn, guys. I'm sorry you're not gonna be able to see it very well, but I had already had the right front done. So we picked up, did the collar, and are working on the left front. So once I get a test knit that I'm working on, no, it's not a sweater, please don't freak out. I told you guys we weren't doing any more test knitting, but I'll explain when we get to it. I just have a little bit of this. I am knitting this out of Cascade 220 superwash wool. I got this when my local yarn shop was closing. I had bought some of this from her prior, and then I found 2 balls of it in the shop when she was closing, and they were still the same dye lot. And I'm really glad I bought them because I'll be able to make this sweater. So I will finish the left front, join them in the round. It's a cardigan, so it's not really in the round. I will do probably about 1 inch, and then I will go ahead and do the sleeves because I'm on a yarn crunch. So I'll go ahead and knit my sleeves, and then I'll pick back up the body and just use the rest of the yarn to go down the body as far as I can. I do need to get some buttons for this, and Melissa and I were talking about it the other day. I think I'm gonna try to find like some either like gray wood buttons or maybe some like marbled gray and black plastic buttons. I'm leaning towards the wood, but we'll see what I can find. I may go on an Etsy search one day and see what I can come up with. So, and this is living in my, oh, where's the name? There it is. Happy Little Yarn pumpkin spice latte bag that I love, 2 pieces. And no, I will not be putting this away because it's not fall. It will probably be used year round. Also because I only have maybe 1 other custom bag that is big enough to hold this stuff. So that's the other reason. Okay, the last whip that I brought into 2023 is a gift for Richard. And quite honestly, I had forgotten about this. I pulled it out when I was going through all of my stuff, and I found it in like the very bottom of my crafting closet, stuffed in a corner. Which is silly because I had the whole body done. I need 2 sleeves, 2 pockets, and a button band, and it's done. And the button band's not even going to be that hard because he doesn't actually want buttons on it. So he was in love with a cardigan that I made a couple of years ago, and it got put in the dryer on high, and it ruined the yarn, which surprised me because it was wool ease. I didn't expect it to mess with the wool in there so much because it's only 20% wool, but it I don't know, there was no saving it. So I told him I would knit him a new one, and then I promptly finished the body and stuffed it into a closet. So this is the only other project that I brought with me, and I've got 1 sleeve part of the way done. He has shorter arms as I do, so I am having to increase the decreases so that I can get to the right number to do the cuff. I am using Lion Brand's Pound of Love in, I believe, Sumac is the colorway. Yeah, Sumac. I had 2 of these, and so I will have enough left after this sweater to have this be the base of a sweater that I plan to knit for William later this year. So those are the 3 projects that I have finished. I'm hoping to have this done by next month because I would love for him to be able to wear it. It's still cool enough here in February and March sometimes that he should get some good wear out of it before we have to put it up. So those are the 3 whips that I brought with me into 2023. I have a couple that I have cast on since the new year started, one of which has a story behind it. First of all, we will start with my brother-in-law's birthday socks. Richard ordered me this bag for Christmas. So it's a little sock bag. It is by Ginger Snap Fibers. I really like this bag. It's got a little doohickey inside, and there's a fun print, and it's got some cool snaps. She also does zippers. Words are hard today, guys. Zippered bags too. Wow, Tamara. Okay, and in here is one of the best Christmas gifts I got this year. Melissa, if you're watching, you obviously know what this is because you gave it to me. But if you've been around this podcast for any length of time, you know that I have an odd obsession with the 1980, it's either 84 or 86, I never can remember, version of Clue. With Madeline Kahn and Tim Curry. I love this movie. Like, this is my I'm PMSing, throw chocolate at me and leave me alone movie. This is my I'm depressed and I just need to be in my own headspace movie. I literally watch this movie at least once a month. It just brings me, and why, I don't know. I mean, it's a funny movie, don't get me wrong, but it's just an odd movie most people look at me funny when I say that, you know, this is like my comfort movie. So anyway, Melissa found a maker on Etsy who makes stitch markers and jewelry out of game board pieces. And she had, this is who it is. She had stitch markers made for me. And I'll pop a picture in here of them from all of the weapons from Clue. I kid you not. When I opened them on Christmas morning, I squealed like a little kid that just got concert tickets. Like, I was so excited about these. And so they are on, one of them is on the project I'm getting ready to talk about. Okay, these are socks for my brother-in-law. You guys know he is majorly knit and crochet worthy, and his birthday is next month. I am using Felici fingering weight in base jump. His favorite color is orange, so I thought these would be fun. And he's got a large foot, so we have a ways to go. I'm about halfway to. He likes the fish lips kiss heel, so at least they'll go quickly, and he prefers like super shorties. I finish the heel, do 5, I'll probably do 8 rows this time, and then the cuff, and I'm done. So they won't take long. And there's the wrench I was talking about. So yeah, I just love them to death. Okay, so we'll put those away. Those are Logan's birthday socks. Next time I talk to you guys, hopefully they will be done. They will get a lot of work because Melissa and I have started watching the 1995 Pride and Prejudice TV series that they made. It's 6 episodes and each one is about an hour long, and so I put a photo up on Instagram. I'll pop it in here too. I was knitting and we each made scones and watched the movie on Zoom together. Now that she's in South Carolina, us getting together in person isn't quite as easy anymore. So us being able to do Zoom dates like that have been so great. That is the one thing about COVID that I'm thankful for. It has given us a way, or maybe helped retrain our minds to think of ways to keep in touch with people who we normally wouldn't have. When Melissa moved away the first time, her and I lost touch. And now, like, we still talk to each other at least once a week. And not even through texting. We actually get to see each other and talk and knit and drink tea and be complete nerds, and it's great. So, all right, I have one more whip to talk about. 2 more, excuse me. The next one is a test knit that I'm doing. Shock and awe, I know. But it's the same person, Alexandria Upchurch, who I test knit the head of hat for, and she messaged me and she's like, hey, would you like to do one more for me? And I was like, sure. I was already planning on knitting a hat for Richard anyway. This hat kind of reminds me of a Musselboro hat a little bit, but it's a tale of woe, because I realized after, okay, so it had been nagging at me for a couple of days. I was like, this hat really seems wide. This hat really seems wide, because you knit a tube. And I'm like, this really seems wide. So I closed off an end of it, went to try it on, and it was way too big. And it's a sock yarn hat. So after I block it, it's gonna be even bigger. So I messaged Alex and I was like, hey, I'm gonna have to rip this back. Part of it is my gauge. I always have to go down at least 1 needle size for any one that I test for. That's just how I knit, especially since I've switched to continental knitting. I can't do anything else. So this is the yarn, and this is the sad end of the hat that is at the frog pond. I got about half of this frog last night while William was in the bathtub. So, you know, because that's what you do. So that was that. So I will finish frogging that probably when I go out to Carline in a few minutes, and hopefully get it picked back up so that I can start knitting on it when we have therapy this afternoon, assuming the roads are clear. And it's living in my Marauders map bag that I made last year, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I think. I made it as a part of the Cozy Cottage Crochet. Hannah, she had a bag and sock make along, and so I made this as one of those. Okay, we have one more whip to talk about. It's living in my cutesy wootsy little cupcake Christmas bag thing that's been living in my closet forever. And it has the little yarn cup that came with my sock bag. I thought that would be fun to keep it in here. This is, though you won't be able to tell because I've only done one row, this is the Frozen Fractal Sock Weight Sweater Pattern by Meg of Bad Wolf Girl Studios. I will pop a picture in here of what this will look like. So, a couple of years ago, I bought her Santa's Workshop sweater pattern and decided I was going to knit it. I bought all the yarn, I put it all in this bag, and I never touched it. And Gretchen and I were talking about it, why I wasn't knitting it, and it dawned on me that I wasn't knitting it because it was holiday specific. What I mean by that is, around where I live in Southwest Missouri, it can be 30 degrees here on Christmas Day, it can be 70 degrees here on Christmas Day. This last Christmas Day, it was like 22 degrees and we had snow on the ground, but I've had years where I've worn t-shirts to Christmas dinner and was fine. So I was worried I wasn't going to get as much wear out of the sweater as I wanted to. So enter this Frozen Fractal sweater. It's a snowflake sweater. I can wear it from November all the way to March, or heck, even April. My dad's birthday is April 17th. In the last 2 years, it snowed on his birthday. So, I'll be able to get a lot more wear out of this sweater than I would have if I had done the Santa's Workshop sweater. I've only got one row of the color work done. I actually had to frog this because I tried to knit color work where I knit with the solid color Continental and I knit English with the contrast color, and you couldn't see the main color because I had pulled it too tight and not pulled the English tight enough. I have a little one of these deals. My mom ordered me a bunch of these. We've talked about these before, but one of these little ring things where you just stick it on your finger and you run the yarn through each of these. So that's probably what I'll do. I have more experience with doing color work like that. So that's what my plan is. And I have there we go, the knife project keeper on here. So hopefully I will have at least one of the charts done on there for you guys to see when we come back next time, because this is one of the sweaters that we had talked about in my stash sweaters. So okay, let me take a quick drink and turn my page. Okay. Okay, what time is it? Okay, we got time. All right, so I started the year and I went through and counted everything I have in stash. We talked about the 8 sweaters that I have and what I have planned for that. We talked about the 2 shawls and what I have planned for that. I also have a yarn quantity of baby yarn to knit someone a baby blanket. I always like to keep at least one of those on hand just in case someone I know ends up having a baby. I also brought with me, if I knit single skein or single pairs of socks per skein, I brought 40 pairs of sock yarn with me into 2023. That's, again, not counting any of the yarn for sweaters, shawls. I've got 40. So I decided that I am going to implement somewhat of a buying ban on myself. And what I mean by somewhat of a buying ban is I am not going to buy yarn unless I have a specific project in mind for that yarn, and I have taken the amount of yarn that I need for that project out of stash already. Meaning if I'm gonna buy a sweater's quantity of yarn to knit a sweater, I need to have knit a sweater out of my stash and have it finished before I can buy that. There were 2 exceptions to that. Hobie Yarn had their Christmas yarn half off, their Christmas sock yarn. I knit 5 to 6 pairs of Christmas socks for people every year. So I went ahead and purchased 2 different colorways, 2 skeins each. So I'll be able to get multiple pairs of socks out of those. But those are they already have a purpose. They're going to be gift knits for next year. And I also needed to purchase yarn for 2 gifts that are coming up, which we're going to talk about in just a second. So I wanted you guys to know what my plan was for my stash. It has already been difficult, but I have not purchased anything, and it's really changed my mindset on a few things. And I think a lot of it was just the fact that I haven't been using the nice yarn. I've been putting it back thinking I need the perfect project for this. I need the perfect thing for this before I can use it. But it's just sitting there. So this year is about using the nice yarn. It's about making the nice gifts. It's about being selfish for myself and making things that I'm going to enjoy and not feeling bad about it. I'm one of those people that's like, oh, I could save that for a gift, or oh, I could give that to somebody. And it's okay for me to have sweaters that are made out of nice yarn. That's okay. So I'm gonna do it. But in that, like I said, I also had a cousin who got engaged over the new year, and she announced her colors. They are going to be kind of like classic China, the navy and white. And so I'm going to do the maple Afghan. I'll pop a picture in here. It's from Meg Can Do, I believe. I have also knit or crocheted another one of her patterns in the past. But my mom and I are going to crochet this blanket together. Thankfully, her and I have a close enough gauge that like we can finish crochet projects for each other, and you can't tell. So we're each going to divide up the squares, and instead of black, where there's black here, we're going to put the navy. So I ordered that, and then I also ordered some yarn for Dawson's Lord of the Rings blanket, and I'll pop a photo of the one I found in here. What I'm going to do, she has the picture charts available, and I'm going to do, instead of the puff stitch that she recommends, I'm going to do corner to corner crochet. So I'm going to try one block, see if that works out, see how I need to adjust my math, and then I will do the rest of the blanket for him. He is a huge Lord of the Rings fan. He is a huge Dungeons and Dragons fan. And he graduates high school this year. So I want him to have something to take with him to college that he's not going to care if it gets thrown in the back of his truck, or taken to a football game, or taken to an all-night video game marathon, or whatever in the world Dawson is getting himself up into. He can always have that with him. I made him a Doctor Who blanket, goodness, 3 or 4 years ago now, and I know he still uses it. So I'm really excited to be able to gift that to him. So, okay, that's all the yarn we have to talk about except for the giveaway, which I'll talk about in just a minute. Everything else is going to be quilting and life and junk. I really don't have any book recommendations. That's kind of what the giveaway is going to be about, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So, over the summer, my mom and I cleaned out their garage. My parents live in a house that is attached to a shop. And so we cleaned out the shop over the summer. And we found my mom's old sewing machine. And she asked me if I wanted it. And I said, sure. I'm sorry. So we decided that we wanted to make string pieced quilts. So I'll pop a picture up here of what they will look like. Mine is going to be black and white and red. So I found a bunch of like fat quarters and stuff of black and white yarn, and I've cut them into strips. The center strip of each of my blocks will be red. And then I will fan out from there. So it'll be red in the middle. It'll be black, white, white, black, black, white. And so I've been cutting those, and we spent some days during Christmas break cutting all the strips, getting them ready. It's a really fun and easy way to learn how to quilt, because I've never been much of a quilter. I didn't quilt it, but I made the quilt top. I'll pop a picture in here of the one I made, and it's for Jade. Well, it wasn't for Jade. I made it in high school, but she has commandeered it, and it now lives on her bed. So I would like to make this string quilt for my bed. I would also like to make a version of that blanket that was Jade's, or that is Jade's, for Olivia, and then I also would like to make one for William. It's just random fabric, just all kinds of crap that my mom had at the time. And then she made me a gorgeous quilt for graduation when I graduated high school. We also found that quilt while we were cleaning out the garage. And after my 10-minute sobbing session, because I don't want to get into too much detail, but I lived in Florida for a while and moved home rather unexpectedly and rather quickly, and left most of my stuff there. I was only able to grab what would fit in my car, and most of that stuff was Jade's that I grabbed. She was very small at the time. She was 2. She just turned 2. So I thought I had left the blanket in Florida. And to find it in my parents' garage just about broke my heart, because I was so sad that I had lost this gorgeous quilt that my mom had taken all this time to make for me. And when I found it, I just lost it and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. That was a really hard time in my life anyway, and to know that I hadn't lost that gift from my mom was just really heartwarming and made me happy. It did have a hole in it. She was able to patch it. I'll pop a picture in of the patch she made for it, and it will go at the end of my bed with this new string piece quilt. So sorry, I didn't mean to get all emotional there, but yeah. So we are going to be using these blocks. I don't have them with me, but they actually have lines on them. So we will be able to just line up the fabric, sew on the line, move to the next square, or move to the next strip. So it's pretty cool, and I'm really excited to give it a try. Okay, excuse me. We are going to go on to the giveaway. So here's what I want you to do. First of all, anything that I show in this giveaway is not affiliated in any way, shape, or form with the company that made it. I pulled all this stuff out of stash. Nothing was donated to me or given to me or anything like that. This was all stuff I paid for. So what I want to know 2 things. You can put them in the comments down below. Number 1, what is your favorite book? Because seriously, guys, I am in a reading slump right now and it's killing me. Number 2, what was your favorite thing you made in 2022? So, favorite book, favorite make in 2022. Let me know. My favorite book, everyone will be shocked. Actually, my favorite book is it's a cross between the Juliet cross, Don't Hex and Drive, and A Court, oh my gosh, not A Court of Wing and Ruin, A Court of Mist and Fury. Wow, guys, I'm really tired. A Court of Mist and Fury. So let me know what your favorite all-time book is, and what your favorite make is in 2022. So this is the bag it will come in. Man. And I got, oops, something's caught. What's caught? That's what's caught. Okay, we're gonna take everything. There we go. Okay, this yarn is SSK Knitters Tweed, and the colorway Black Walnut. I got this yarn as a mystery box, and I've just never knit with it, and I thought it's not really super my color aesthetic, so I thought it could go to a new home. I've got some stitch markers on here, some light bulb stitch markers because you always need those, and a fun flamingo stitch marker. Of course, there is tea in here. I've got candy cane, Stash's double chai, and Good Earth sweet and spicy. I also have a notebook because you always need notebooks. Just a pretty flower notebook. And then my newest obsession, These are erasable gel pens, you guys. So you write with it, and then this little deal on the end erases it. And this is a game changer for anyone who does paper patterns, because if you have to frog back, you can just erase. You don't have to like scribble things out. These are amazing. I love them. So I wanted to share the love. So don't forget to make sure you are also a subscriber, because I will check whoever the winner is to see if they are subscribed to the channel. The winner will be announced in the February podcast. So there's the giveaway. Okay, now we just have life and junk. Christmas was really good, minus the weather. We ended up with 3 or 4 inches of snow and some ice, and it was just super cold. Lows in the single digits to negatives, and highs for the day in like the teens. So it was really hard for the road crews to clear the roads effectively. We almost didn't get to go to a couple of our Christmas things, but we were able to make it out there safely. Where I live in Southwest Missouri is pretty hilly, so you have to be careful, you know, where you're going. But we were able to make it to all of our Christmases. We did have to reschedule a couple, which was fine. It all worked out. Between that and illness, I feel like the Christmas season flew by faster than normal this year. I don't feel like I got to enjoy my Christmas decorations as much, and I don't feel like we got to do as many of the traditions as we normally do. And I know we didn't, because we were all sick and we were all snowed in and we were getting better and everything. So I am going to make more of an effort next year not to put off some of those things. So we may be going to see Christmas light displays the first weekend in December, when I usually try to save them for closer to my birthday, which is 5 days before Christmas. We ended up all sick. So that was a bummer. Number 1, to be sick close to my birthday. Number 2, not to be able to go and do the things that we usually do. That's what I ask for every year from my kids, is we drive around and we look at Christmas lights, and Daddy buys me a peppermint mocha, and everyone is quiet and they are not allowed to complain. That is what I want for Christmas every year. Or not Christmas, my birthday, 5 days before Christmas. So I have always loved Christmas light displays, and there are several places around here where you can drive through and see some really pretty ones. And we just missed out on a lot of those this year. So it is what it is. Next year will be better. I have gotten my tree taken down, but it's not been down for very long. So everything will be put up in my grandma's attic to be ready for next year. The other big news really is y'all know William has autism. And one of the issues with the type of autism that William has is he has a really hard time with change. And we were still using his original sippy cups that we have had since he got weaned from the bottle. And he has been super resistant to any change. So Richard and I got to go out on a date on Saturday, and we happened to go to Hobby Lobby because we got a new Hobby Lobby here, and so we were walking through the new store after we ate lunch, because we ate way too much. It was really good, but we ate way too much. And so we were walking around kind of trying to settle our stomachs before we went home, and we happened to find some straw cups in 2 of his favorite characters, which is Paw Patrol and Baby Shark. So we bought them. They were half off, and thus started the sippy cup saga. So we put chocolate milk in one, apple juice in another, and then we filled his original sippy cup with water. So he did have options on what. That child hates plain water, cannot stand it, acts like you're poisoning him. It's actually really funny to watch him drink plain water, because he really does. He just like, it's hilarious. But today is day 6. He's still having a hard time with the cups because they are straws, and he's still holding it up like a sippy cup. So he's only drinking about half of the cup before I have to refill it, because because of the straw, which is fine. He's using them. and we'll figure out how to hold them later. At least he's using them. So it took about 2 days though. He went 2 days without really having much to drink at all. He's very stubborn. Not sure where he got that from. Anyone who knows me is laughing at me right now. But it was a fight. It was a fight. And it caused some serious meltdowns from him, which I'm not used to. I dealt with those a lot with Jade, but William has always been so easygoing and such a chill kiddo that he doesn't really have major meltdowns like that. So that was really hard. That was really hard for me. Kind of flashing back to what I dealt with Jade and having to carry him out of a public place, kicking and screaming, and having to just stand there making sure that he wasn't hurting himself in the car while he got out his frustration and throwing his fit and screaming. And that's so hard for a mom to go through, because there's nothing in that moment that I can do to help him. There's nothing I can do, because what I'm doing is for his own good. I'm taking those sippy cups away because they're bad for his teeth. I'm taking those away and replacing them with something that is better for him, but I have to ride out that storm. So it was a hard week emotionally, but we're on the uphill. We're doing better, and that's what matters. He got his hair cut yesterday. I'll pop a photo in right here. And he did really well. Haircuts are really hard for him. Another thing that's a sensory issue. That's why I let his hair get so long. We get it cut about 3 times a year. I let it grow and grow and grow until we just can't let it go anymore. And then we go to a place here in town called Cookie Cutters. He gets to sit in a cool car. They turn on the TV for him. And the girls in there are super great. They just use scissors to cut his hair. So there's no clippers or anything involved, which he cannot handle. And we get his hair cut and it looks really good. So, and he didn't cry this time at all. So that's a huge win. So yeah, that's about it for Life and Junk. The girls are doing great. Olivia's birthday is in 2 days. So she'll be home for the morning. We'll get her Friday night and we'll take her back around lunchtime to see her mom and celebrate the rest of her birthday with her mom. I don't know how I will have a teenager. She will be 13, which is insane to me. I came into her life when she was 4. So for her to be 13 is crazy to me. Yeah, and so that's about it. Actually, come to think of it, today's Richard and I's anniversary. Huh. We went out Saturday basically to celebrate that, so I guess I didn't really think about it, but yeah, today's our anniversary. How funny. I'll have to make him something special for dinner. With that, I'm a mess, you guys. I really am. With that, I'm gonna go because I need to get this edited and I need to get out to Carline and all that stuff. So I hope that you all are healthy, happy, and safe wherever you are. And I hope that 2023 has started out well for you. Like I said earlier, I know 2022 was hard for a lot of us, but 2023 is going to be better. I believe it. And I think if we all stick together and we all uplift each other, it will happen. So I will see you guys in February. And don't forget to enter the giveaway and hit like and subscribe. Love you guys. Bye.